Bună ziua, sunt Claudia Tapardel și bine ați venit la emisiunea din culisele Europei, All About EU. Este o emisiune dedicată în special tematicii europene, așa cum știți, și prin care îmi doresc să aduc Europa mai aproape de români și să aduc informațiile de la Bruxelles mai aproape de realitatea românească. I will start to speak in English because I have guests from the European Parliament from other countries, and today I will discuss about European tourism, which is one of the most affected economic sectors in the European Union, but not only, all over the world. The tourism is very affected by the pandemic crisis. I might say that the last figures show us that we have a loss of approximately 70% in revenues, and I think almost 11 million jobs at risk at the level of the Union. Many airlines, many restaurants, many bars, hotels are nearly to become bankrupt. And that's why I think it's an issue very important for all the European citizens, and me, as a citizen, not as a former MEP, I want to understand how the European Union and how the European institutions can support and find solutions for the recovery of this sector and also for restarting to travel, being for business, for pleasure, for work, but in safe conditions and hopefully with less restrictions. So my guest for today, it will be MEP from Portugal, Claudia Monteiro de Aguiar. Hello, Claudia. Good afternoon, and welcome to All About EU at DC News TV.
Hello, good afternoon. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you, speaking about an important industry, travel and tourism industry. And also how it is being affected by this pandemic crisis. Thanks for the opportunity also to share with you and with Romanian citizens how is the European Union working to develop better conditions, better solutions, to give better answers, to help, as you said previously and well done, for hotels, restaurants, and a huge amount of small and medium enterprises that are unfortunately being severely hit by this crisis. It's not only a question of health, it's a question of economic impact and social impact, because at the European level, we are talking about 11,000 people that are connected directly and indirectly to the sector, to the travel and tourism sector, and that are having many problems leading with this crisis. So at the European level, we constituted several times a tourism task force.
Claudia, first of all, we'll discuss a lot about this issue, but allow me to present you. You are a member of the European Parliament from Portugal, coming from Madeira Island. So you are very implicated in tourism because you are coming from a region that depends, the economy of Madeira and also the economy of Portugal depends in a large scale of touristic activities. You are a member of the TRAN Committee, Transport and Tourism Committee of the European Parliament, Vice Chair of the Fisheries Committee, and also you are the Vice President of the Working Group for Tourism at SMEs Europe. So you have a lot of important positions in the European Parliament. And first of all, because this pandemic is true, has hit on everybody. All the European Union is affected. All our citizens, all the European citizens are affected by this pandemic crisis. We are speaking about over 500 million of people that are affected. Their lives are affected, the lifestyle is affected, our economies are affected, the way we are the way we are educating our children is affected by this pandemic crisis. So my first question, but I want a short answer from your part, is what is happening right now at the level of the European Parliament? What exactly are the concrete measures that the European Parliament and also the European institutions are taking for recovering from this pandemic crisis? Because I want to know exactly which are these concrete measures.
Okay, so let me try to make it short and clear for people to understand some measures. First, we want to restart the travel and tourism. Because we need to restart it, we need to give an answer to the health question, to the sanitary measures. So at this level, we are trying to have coordinated measures for travel restrictions, for hygiene and health protocols. We asked in the European Parliament to implement an EU protocol of testing. Let me just share with you that here in Madeira Island, from the beginning of the pandemic crisis, the government made and invested on the testing protocol. So each citizen that arrives to Madeira Island needs to be tested, and those tests are supported by the government. So it's a kind of way to start slowly opening the economy to receive people, to receive travelers in a safe way. We also, at the European level, we ask for financial support, to support the SMEs, to support the enterprises that are struggling with this crisis. So that is why we say that in the next generation EU, that's not including the financial support directly to the tourism, but we ask to each member state to include on their resilience mechanisms and funds to include the tourism sector and to help them with fund guarantees, to help to sustain the employees that are working with the enterprises with some guarantees that can help to support on this crisis. So I think that this global view needs to be understood. First, health questions with protocols, with testing, with the European certificate of vaccination, and then with the financial support to help the enterprises that are struggling in this crisis.
Yes, I agree with you, but tell me, Claudia, because I saw a lot of words. I saw a lot of talking about how to support tourism, but can you tell me if you feel that the European Commission and also the European Parliament are assuming these measures, and they really want to implement these measures and to help the member states and the European citizens and also the touristic activity?
Well, Claudia, let me just share with you that this has been a huge work from the side of the European Parliament, because we wanted the Commission to understand the importance of the tourism and the travel industry. And for that, we ask for a budgetary line for this industry, because it's needed. You can not only say that you will support if you don't have the instruments,
exactly,
the financial instruments to support the industry. So we are talking about maritime tourism, aviation sector, the road industry that is also implicit here. So we are asking for that support. I think that in this precise moment, the European Commission has already shown some interest on helping it. So that's why they approved a European mechanism of crisis that we asked for support. And that mechanism of crisis is really to understand how financially you can help the member states, and how can the member states then have that support to help the industry, to help hotels, to help restaurants, to help all the enterprises that have an activity connected directly or indirectly to the tourism. So I think that this work is starting to have some answers now.
Do you think that at this moment European Commission can assume a strategy for European tourist development? Because I think it's the perfect moment to do this, because now tourism is at the ground. So what they wait for it? It is the perfect moment to finally have a strategy for the European tourist development.
Perfect, perfect. I think that that's the point. This is the time. Unfortunately, it was shown by a pandemic crisis, by an economic crisis. But I think that the sentence that we use a lot, and I use it personally a lot, we will not have a recuperation, a reboost of the EU economy if we don't have the tourism sector or the tourism industry helped and rebuilt. And that needs to have an European tourism policy, and that is why we ask for the future, in the short term, we should have a department for tourism on the agencies that already exist. But we ask for the future to have an agency, because now we understand how important the tourism is for our economies. Our several member states and islands that are dealing with tourism for lots of years, we know how is to deal with that. But at the European Commission, this is the perfect time to understand that if we are already talking, and we hear from the European Commission that now we can talk about a EU for health, with an EU agency for health. Okay, it's not a common procedure of the EU, but this is the time to understand that tourism has also the space for have a policy at the European level and an agency to work and to better understand what are the needs of the member states, what are the needs of the industry, and to promote better
and also to have a
answers.
more integrated action at EU level in supporting member states in developing EU tourism. Let's summarize.
And the decisions too.
You mentioned some measures, some concrete measures that the European Commission and the European Parliament should take. So we have this agency for tourism, which is very important. Yes?
Yes.
We have, the European Parliament is asking for a concrete for financial support to have a budget line in the EU budget for tourism.
Yes, we ask for a budgetary line for the tourism.
And of course, connected to this budgetary line, we need a strategy for developing tourism at EU level.
Yes.
I will come back to something that you mentioned before, and I think also this is a very useful instrument at this moment to restart tourism. It's the Green Digital Certificate for Vaccine. As you know, it's a legislative proposal that was presented by the European Commission on 17th of March. And I think indeed it's a useful tool, and also I think it represents a hope for the elimination of restrictions regarding the freedom of movement. So, what's your opinion, and what's the opinion of the members of the European Parliament regarding this instrument and this legislative proposal? And the second question that I want to address you related to this issue is, do you think that it's possible that to have this legislative proposal to be adopted in the European Parliament, to reach the political agreement, and then to be really implemented and to be effective used by the member states until the 1st of June, in fact until the beginning of the summer holiday? Because I think this is the challenge. And it will be great if this will happen, but I was a member of the European Parliament, and I know that things are not going so smoothly when you start to negotiate on a legislative proposal. But I hope that it will be like that.
Yes, I think that you summarize it very well, Claudia. It's really that. The aim of the proposal, it's very positive, because we want that people start traveling again in a safe way, in a non-discriminatory way. That's why we ask that this certificate does not include any discriminatory action that can be implemented, and we wanted to do it well. But it's a complex question, it's a complex issue. People are divided, member states are divided, not only politically, but of course because of ethical questions. But the aim of the certificate, it's very positive. Well, indeed, I have this report that I'm responsible for the reboost and the recover of the tourism, and to put the tourism sector in a sustainable way for the future. And last October, when we defined one of the pillars and one of the strategies, we identified the need of this certificate. So it was I saw this happening of this legislative proposal very positively. And this certificate covers, just to share with you, covers first, if one person has been vaccinated against COVID, if the person received a negative result test, a PCR or another test, and if the person has recovered from the COVID-19. So it introduces some basic principles, like setting the maximum validity period of the recovery. So these are the 3 points that this digital green certificate includes. We at the European level, we will need to analyze it and to vote for this proposal. I don't know if it will be possible, as you said, to put it in the road, to implement it on 3 months.
Yes, to be on fast track, to say like that.
To be on fast track, yes, yes. But I think that it's a good way, one way that if slowly, gradually, people can start traveling and have this green way that says that, okay, you have been vaccinated. You don't need to come to a member state and to pass for a quarantine, to pass again for a procedure of testing. You can go and easily travel. So, as I said to you, the principle is good. I think that we need to define really the red lines that can implement no discrimination between citizens, but that can allow the free movement of citizens in a more clear and harmonized way. Because what we saw in the beginning of this pandemic crisis was each member state doing their rules. Exactly. And so for the citizen, for the traveler, for the person that wants to travel, to go within 27 different rules, it's very difficult, even for the enterprises that want to have their personal workers going to several member states. Having different measures, it's a huge mess for the people who are traveling. So that's why we ask for harmonization, for clear rules that can permit travelers to do it in a safe way.
Yes, I agree with you, Claudia, and I think it's very important to set this, to see which are the red flags, but also to help people to travel. And also, I think it's common sense to understand that if you already received the vaccine, or you can prove that you had the disease and now you have the antibodies, to be accepted from bans at entry in a country, to be accepted from testing, and even to be accepted from quarantine, because there are countries that are still imposing quarantine when you are entering in their territory. So I think it's very important, and I hope that it will be a useful instrument for integrating again the travel and the freedom of movement at EU level, but also maybe to encourage to extend this instrument also worldwide. And now
yes. If you just give me the chance to see that the European Commission also put it like a flexible way. And I think it's very positive to have this flexibility, because we depend a lot on the scientific studies and on the scientific proofs that we need to. So we need to understand the inoculation process, how much time does it take. So having this certificate open and flexible to adapt to the changes that will happen with the basis on the scientific proofs, it's very positive. It's not a closed document, it's not a closed passport that they called. I don't even like the name of passport. So it's just a way, an instrument that can facilitate traveling and the free movement of people.
Yes, we don't need more bureaucracy. We just need flexible instruments to restart to travel again. Now, I will come back to a subject that for sure you will love it. We'll come back to your home country, to Portugal. You have a great experience in tourism, and as I said before, Portugal is also a country that has a great experience in promoting tourism and attracting tourists all over the world, and also it's a country that depends on a large scale on touristic activities. But I want to ask you to share with us some examples of good practices regarding the reopening of the touristic activities, to see if it's possible to restart the activity of restaurants, of hotels, bars, and also to be sure that we are not losing any more jobs at EU level and in every member state in these sectors. And also another activity that is very affected by this pandemic is the cultural and entertainment activities, which are also very much related with the tourism sector. So can you share with us some good practices from Portugal?
Well, from the point of view of the health pandemic, as I said in the beginning, I think it's a great example that in Portugal, especially in the outermost regions, that we have the Madeira Island and the Azores, but I can speak about Madeira. I think that the investment that it was done by the government, and I think that this could be a good practice that could be spread to all the European member states. It has to be a good protocol test. If you support the protocols of testing people that arrives to your country, and if the European Union could help to support financially this implementation.
Claudia, do you think that testing should be free of charge at the level of EU, and of course the member states should receive this financial support to assuring free testing at the level of the member states for all the EU citizens?
I do believe that was a good practice and a good way. That is why I'm giving you the example, because having these tests and the costs of the test being supported by the governments with the support of the EU, this could also benefit all the enterprises, all the ecosystem that is connected to the tourism. So this is a way of making people equal at the same stage. In this case, the discrimination is not possible because you can support the costs, and for instance, family that have 3 or 4 children to travel and to support the costs of a test when going to another country, it's a huge amount of money that we are talking about. So I think that this investment is in health, but it's also for the tourism and travel industry. This could be a good solution. So testing protocols should be implemented all over to support. And then the financial support. Well, we need to reduce the taxes that all the enterprises are having this crisis now, this impact. So if we can lower our internal VAT or the taxes that are connected to the enterprises and to the tourists, if we can extend the period of these lower taxes, this could be a very good measure to help the industry to maintain. I'm not telling to recover. I'm just asking to maintain in this period. And then in the future, I think that at the European level, it should have financial support and programs to help member states to the transition that we want, to the green transition that we want to put in the agenda, because we have the European Green Deal. So we also want that the travel and tourism industry can make this change of ways. But for that changing, we need help. We need to help them. And so to a greener transition, to a digital transition, we need to give the financial support for that, for the industry, but also just to share to you a thought, it's that we need to understand that this change will need improvement of skills of the human resources. So you will need to bet on the skills of the human resources. People need to be keen to work in this greener economy, in this bluer economy, or in this digital economy that we want, that we are facing it. We are facing this transformation era. So let's work on that, and we are working on that to have these supports, these frameworks, these instruments that can help member states to put in practice this instruments. And we are asking it at the European level. We are working on it at the European level. If the European Commission understands this, then we are doing a good work in putting people's life, citizens' life, on a better phase.
Yes, it's true, Claudia, and because you mentioned the Green Deal, we can say that we are the generation of Green Deal at the EU level, but also the generation of the digital era and the digital development at the EU level. And I want to ask you, because I saw that and I know that in the recent years, Portugal has also become, let's say, the home of an Europe hub for startup companies focused on tourism. And I want to ask you to develop a little bit about this subject, but also I want to ask you about something that I think is very interesting, and for sure it will be an example of good practices. I heard that you have a Nomad digital village in Madeira. What exactly is this Nomad digital village? Can you tell me more about it?
Yes, I think that is something that the governments and also at the EU level should think. Well, that's the future, but we are dealing with now in the present. So thinking about digitalization is this. Well, the Nomad village is a way that the government looked and said, okay, we have the perfect conditions. We have climate conditions, but we also have digital with software and hardware conditions to promote not only a destination, a touristic destination, but also giving conditions to the citizens all over that want to come to work in our territory, in our region. We give them the facilities to work, and then you have also the touristic part. So it's a combined 2-in-1, the touristic destination, but also to attract more people to work.
So you are inviting me to make my my TV talk show in Madeira.
You can. You will have the conditions to do that. So you can do your work and work all over for the world in a special place. Just we need to give people the condition, citizens the condition. When you were on the European Parliament, we already spoke about the need of having the 5G, the internet spread in each country, in each region. So this is important.
Yes, it was an important dossier, Wi-Fi for EU, and I fight very much for this dossier, and I thank you for your support. It seems that in this new period that we are living, Wi-Fi for EU, it's very important to have
it's
connection
very
all over Europe, and mostly in the remote regions.
Yes, especially. But as you ask me for Portugal as a country, these conditions that I spoke about, the Nomad village, it's also the same conditions that Portugal understood that it was needed to attract more enterprises, or even to promote the way that entrepreneurs could create their own work or their own enterprise. So I think that besides the touristic place that we have, the destination that Portugal is, that Lisbon, Algarve and Oporto gave those opportunities as big cities, we also Portugal promoted the Web Summit. As you know, we have this huge technological summit. So this is a kind of way to attract young people, to attract people that want to be in Portugal and to build a new way of working, and to create new enterprises and to be entrepreneur. So if this could be spread at the European level, to see as a good practice, and how the financial support and the support of the governments to help people to make the transition to this digital era, you need to give them tools. You need to give them space, physical space, and you need to support with the software and the hardware materials to promote that.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's a great idea, and of course this idea should be supported also by the European Union, and of course that it should be spread all over in all the member states of the European Union. And now, because Claudia, you are a member of the TRAN committee and you are also very active on transport issues. And I want to ask you if at this moment there are some concrete solutions, there is financial support, some subsidies or other kind of measure for supporting the airlines, because also the airlines companies have been severely affected by this pandemic crisis.
Yes, of course. At the TRAN committee, we also support very hardly the question of the aviation, because we all know that the planes are down, are inland, so people are not traveling. So of course that the supports need to be directed to those companies, because the help should be needed, because companies mean people that are working for those companies, and the aviation sector has a lot of indirect enterprises that work through the aviation, the handling system, people that are working with the handling, and so yes, we have already put in practice some help, and we on the last voting that we had, we asked to more flexibilities to the state aids, so that member states can help enterprises with more flexibility.
Allow me to explain that normally the state aid is forbidden by the legislation of the European Union, and you are asking to the European Commission to accept that this kind of aid, the state aid, to be assured by the government to the national airline companies.
Is that, yes, to flexibilize the state aid, because it's very strict, and the Commission always wants to have the reports on that, and that was one of the needs, and that was one of the things that we had to flexibilize the state aid, so that the member states can help better the enterprises that are connected with this pandemic crisis.
Yes, and in the end, Cláudia, in this summer, I can come in Madeira, in Portugal, and to have safe conditions, but also to enjoy all the gastronomic experience, all the natural experience, all the entertainment experience. What's your opinion?
Well, you can come to Madeira. I can assure you that every Romanian that wants to come to Madeira, it will be well received here. It has to do 2 tests, one at the arrival and one after 5 days.
No, I hope we will have the green digital certificate until then.
Yeah, but for that we will need to have another debate around the vaccination and how it is going, the vaccination system all over. We need it to be more fast, not only Europe, because there are several questions that we had on the vaccination theme, but each member state also should be prepared to do this vaccination in a more quicker way, because that's the only solution that the tourism and travel industry will have, and for us citizens to have a new normal. We will hope that the vaccination procedure can be more easily done, but instead of that, we will need to do the work. We will need to promote hygiene protocols, to continue to use the mask, to continue to use those metrics around the hygiene solutions. And I think that especially countries that have tourism with a huge component of the GDP in their countries, they are very well keen on that, to promote safe and clean solutions to receive people. But that's why we ask also in our report for a European Union seal. Well, a seal that can promote this clean and safe European areas and zones. But we need all to do our work to respect the restrictions that are imposed, and then to slowly open with the right conditions to have, a better summer. I truly don't believe that it will be the summer that we all want it to be, but we are creating the conditions to slowly reopen and to start gradually having an economy back.
Cláudia, we are coming to the end of the interview. It was a wonderful interview. I don't know when the time passed. And I want to ask you now, in the end, to share with us some thoughts, a message of support, of hope for the Romanian public, but also for the Portuguese public, because as you know, this talk show is broadcasted on social media. And of course, a message of hope for all the European citizens.
Well, the hope is that we will pass this through. We will have the vaccination at the end of the year, we hope will be spread all over the EU, but especially we have the hope that internationally we are already seeing in other countries that are putting in place the vaccination. So that will be the solution, as I said. But until there, I hope that at the EU level, but all the governments, especially Portuguese and Romanian, because we are now in this particular platform, that can make all the efforts to support the enterprises. Because if enterprises are well supported, people and citizens have their work guaranteed. And that's the way that we want to guarantee, because we don't want more people to suffer of poverty and anger, and we need to do our work to push for our governments to support not only economically, not only thinking about the environment, but socially. We need to put all the measures on the social area to help people pass, because this crisis, it has a huge impact on social area. So we need to push for our governments, and we will do our work on that to help people pass this crisis. So let's all work together, and all the citizens need to do that with energy, with a positive way, because we will pass this crisis. And the tourism and the industry of travel and tourism has always given a proof of resilience and of turning the crisis into positive ones. And we will come back again with a harder way, in a stronger way.
Thank you. We need a stronger Europe, and we need that our citizens enjoy their life and be social protected. Thank you so much, Claudia, for this interview. It was a great pleasure to have you as one of my first guests. I hope that I will see you very soon, maybe in Brussels, maybe in Madeira, or maybe you will come in Romania. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.